you want to know what it takes to get to have $1 million company, watch this video. My name is Ben and I own Blue Ladder, a window cleaning company in McKinney, Texas. I've started 3 businesses. One of them fizzled out because I didn't know what I was doing. The second one, in a different location, I was able to grow and sell. And now I'm on my 3rd one and I'm hoping to exceed my last expectations and grow beyond the $1 million. And I'm hoping that along the way I can help a lot of other people out so that they can have a more beneficial journey as well. So maybe that's you and maybe that's somebody else who I'll eventually hire, but whatever it takes, I want to help other people level up their lives. If you're watching the video right now, go ahead and comment below where you're watching from. I'd like to know where my audience is. By the way, as we're going, feel free to drop a comment, ask a question. I like to give feedback as much as I can so that hopefully I can help you level up. $1 million business. Kind of seems, if you're like me and you grew up with not a whole lot of extra cash, like an unachievable thing, or something that's just a fragment of your imagination, something that you hope for, but you don't know if you'll ever get there. The good news is that if you've already started a business, or if you're starting one now, you're actually closer to that destination than you might think. Let's break it down. $1 million business can be brought down to bite-sized chunks. So you don't just wake up in day one, at least most of us, and say, okay, I'm going to do it tomorrow. It takes time to build something that big if it's going to last, if it's going to be sustainable and actually work well. There's a lot of guys who've gone out and started things quickly, but either they have a world of experience and a lot of mentorship to help them guide their way through, or they risk growing something too fast and it doesn't have a strong foundation and can fall apart within a matter of a short time. There's actually a window cleaning company near me and they do door-to-door sales. And I'm not knocking door-to-door sales. Desperate times call for desperate measures and you do what you got to do to get a sale. But a large company that's based on door-to-door sales has a lot harder time building retention with those customers. Oftentimes they feel pressured into a sale and they reluctantly say yes, only to either cancel before you get there for the actual appointment or just to not ever reach you again. They block you, they try to hide from you, and they just don't like doing business. Nobody likes feeling taken advantage of or forced into a decision. And so this company with the door-to-door sales, not only do they make people feel uncomfortable and ruin their ability to get recurring revenue, I'm not saying they don't get any at all, but they don't get as much as they would otherwise. In addition to that, they don't do a great job of training their help. So when they do have somebody show up to clean the glass, they fail. They do a miserable job. The windows are left spotty and look like they've never been cleaned. Whether it's because they didn't communicate with the customer appropriately, or they simply didn't rise to the occasion and do their part of the bargain. Needless to say, if you're trying to do a window cleaning business, make sure you understand how to clean a piece of glass before you tell them that you're going to do it. Now, segueing back into bite-sized chunks. You start out and you have your basic tools and it's just you. Maybe your first year, you're just doing it part-time, or maybe you go all in and you have something to drive you to just go take the bull by the horns and win. Either way, it's just you and you have a limited potential. You can't do $1 million if you're by yourself, unless you're simply connecting people and contracting everything out, which is a doable thing. It's just not sustainable for an actual well-built business with a solid brand behind it. If you want to build something that can last and grow to where you can either hand it off as a family legacy or have venture capitalists come buy you out, then you're going to need to build something that goes much further beyond you with polished systems in place. But we start with just you. And so maybe first year you're doing part-time and you do 20, 30,000, or maybe you go into it full-time right off the bat and you're able to hit close to 6 figures. I know in my first year, I made between $70,000 and $80,000. But I had to work hard for that. And I know if I had worked a little bit differently, a little bit smarter, I might have been able to get the 6-figure number myself. Having said that, it took me 2 years to get to 6 figures, and then it took a little bit longer to get to where I could hire somebody full-time. The faster you can hire somebody full-time and the less you can take out of the profit from your business, the faster you'll be able to fuel the beast of your business to grow as large as you like. When you're by yourself, you're limited anywhere between 100K and 200K. This number is going to be very difficult to reach. It's possible if you're doing other services besides window cleaner. Window cleaning, you typically peak out between 100 to 125 per hour. And with that being said, you can maybe make about $1,000 in a day, give or take. You add gutter cleaning, you add Christmas lights, you add pressure washing to that number can go up a little bit. You still are not going to be able to get more than $200 an hour consistently. And especially talking about every day of the work week, every week of the year, your seasonality, starting in January, you slow, pick up in March, April, May, drop back down July, August, September, October, November, December. And so you have that ebb and flow of a window cleaning season or any other home service business. So back to the basics. When you peak out between 100 and 200K per year, this last year I got about as efficient as I could. I have somebody else answering all my phone calls and scheduling all my appointments. Most of the quotes are done that way or online, and I'm interfacing with the customers very little outside of the actual work. Now, I really enjoy the work. I enjoy being a tradesman and honing the craft and getting really good at it. And so I'm what you would call like a boutique window cleaning business, or just a true tradesman. For me to grow beyond this, I have to hire somebody. And what I'm going to do is hire somebody who's going to work alongside me for at least 6 months. So that way I know I can trust them. They have the DNA of my business built into them. It sets a company culture where they get to know me and respect me and work like me, think like me, talk like me, treat the customers like I do. And there's no other way around this. In order to get people who you can afford when you're at the beginning, the only way to get them on board is if hire people who are underqualified with potential. And you look for customer service and the ability to go a little further, to run a crew of their own, to be at least to be a lead technician, maybe even potentially a salesman or a COO or some other level within a business. But you buy somebody with the potential for a lower cost and build them into something that you can afford later on. So with that being said, when you hire your plus one, they're not going to make as much per hour as you. You've invested time and resources into learning the skill. Hopefully you can upgrade your equipment and get something like a water-fed pole that helps increase your proficiency. You can go from $100 an hour to $200 an hour for the exterior windows by using that water-fed pole. It's not great for first-time cleans, but it's fantastic for anything that's maintenance. And that's one of the keys, is to get that recurring revenue. That helps to blocks in line so that instead of having to get $10,000 in revenue next month, you can start with a baseline of 3, 4, 5,000, eventually even 10,000 just in recurring revenue that's already on the books. Then you can go out and hunt more customers to build your business beyond. So with two guys, you're going to be able to do a combined $250K. Now that gives you a little bit of slack. You're not going to be able to work the whole time. You're going to have to go on some quotes while your employee's working. You're going to have to spend time teaching them how to do different things, showing them how to talk to a customer, letting them in on conversations, just preparing them to take over more responsibility. Now, inevitably, the first hire may not last. Some people have gotten lucky and the first guy was with them to the end. Other people, not so much, and it took them 3 or 4 tries before they found somebody who would stick around, and even then, it might not have been somebody who's quality enough to grow beyond that level. So once you get to $250,000, hopefully this person has developed enough to where they can take over a truck. Whether that's 6 months or a year of working alongside of you, the goal would be to get them to where they can work independently of you and even have one person helping them. If that doesn't happen, you have to find somebody and hire them who are able to do that for you. But then you still have to be careful because they haven't gotten a taste of the culture yet. You got to make sure they understand how you operate, how you think, get who you are, who your business is, the brand that you represent, to get into this new person that you put on board. That's what we call culture. When you have the 2 people at $250K, then you can begin to split. You hire one more person for yourself. You hire one person for your helper. Now you have 2 groups, and these 2 groups can actually do $500K. There can be variance on there. Again, different services, different prices, different revenues. These things can all play into it. But my goal for each truck is always $250K in average. A window cleaning only truck might make a little bit less, but somebody doing exclusively pressure washing has the potential to do quite a bit more. And so keep in mind the variance and understand as you're growing and you're putting these blocks together. Now, over time, you're going to kind of hit your stride. This buddy over here is going to be wearing the lead technician hat, while his helper is his plus one. You're able to work out different ways to incentivize, give the leader special bonuses, give him a raise because he's able to do the work without you. You always want to keep your expenses for labor around 1/3 of the revenue. So if you're planning ahead and you're creating a price structure that is able to generate, say, $100 per hour, you know you have about $33 an hour that you can afford per man hour. So guy number 1, and that includes workers' comp and other resources as well. So it's not straight into his pocket. There's taxes that have to come out. But you have between two people. Now you have 2 hours per hour. So one day becomes 16 hours instead of just 8. And you're still getting the per man hour. So with that, person A, who's the leader, can make a little bit more. You're still getting the hourly off of the person B, but they're not responsible enough yet to run a job, and they rely on person A to give them the input that they need to manage the job and do everything right. So person A is going to get paid more than person B. This is your lead tech or your crew lead, and then your assistant or junior technician. And so person A might be able to earn a decent salary, $35, $40 an hour. Maybe you put them on an hourly plus bonus. Maybe you pay straight commission out of every job and they split it a certain way. And then person B would be a minimum wage myself. I try to shoot a little bit above and beyond because remember, you want people who have potential. You don't just want anybody. You need the skills, but you can train those. What you need most of all is the personality, that individual who's going to go above and beyond and learn and be teachable and mentorable so that they can grow and become another lead technician eventually. Not everybody's going to stick around. Maybe they go to college and they're working with you part-time. You're going to have the ones who can stick, and you want to be able to give them incentive. By the way, if you have this vision from day one, you're able to communicate that, articulate that to the people who you're hiring, and it gives them an incentive to know, hey, we're going places, we're growing somewhere, and we can do it together. There's potential for me. I'm not going to be stuck making $20 an hour for eternity. I'll actually have room to grow and eventually become a crew leader, and from there, maybe even become an operations manager. So I think you get the picture. Now, as you're growing, the tension is going to be going between 250,000 and $1 million. It can be quite the struggle if you don't have your systems in place. It's going to take time to do that. And if you hire a coach or you have somebody close to you who you can get oversight from and direction, that would help tremendously. But with getting to $1 million, it is something that you can do if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to educate yourself. Early on, the first thing you need is sales. Your skill is even secondary to your sales. The object of most window cleaners, or people who rather are more ambitious and would like to have a business, not just be self-employed, would be master sales and have somebody else do the work. Because if you can't sell, nobody has jobs to do. But if you can sell all day, you can have somebody else doing the work all day. Having said that, there's a lot of different ways to get leads. You have to get leads before you get sales. So that's what marketing. There's a quote from Gary Vee, and he says, good marketers don't need to worry about sales. The sales will come if you market well. And you need to attract leads, make them want you to clean for them. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And that's what you've got to figure out, how you want to do it for your company. Speaking of Gary Vee, have you heard about the Jobber Summit yet? I've already got my ticket and you need to make sure you get yours too. It's free to enroll. You don't have to leave your house to go. And so there's no reason for you not to sign up for the Jobber Summit right now. So take a minute, go to the link right up here or in the description and sign yourself up. This is your key to bigger growth this year. Whether you're just starting out or you've been at this business for a while, there's a lot that you can still learn, and the Jobber Summit is the place to do it. There's 2 sessions, the morning or the evening, so sign up for whichever one works best for you. We're going to have Gary Vee, who's going to be talking about social media and AI, how to keep your customers and employees while setting you up for your best year yet. Cody Sanchez will also be there, and she's an expert when it comes to building a business that you can sell or buying other businesses to build your own. Again, don't miss out on the free education. Sign up for Jobber Summit today. You can do door-to-door sales. Typical stats, it takes about 15 to 20 door knocks before you land one job. And that one job can vary depending on how many services you're offering. But with other things, when you want to scale that, you're going to have to do more management. You're going to have to make sure everybody has the resources they need, that they have the tools in place, that they're knowing where to go, when to be there, and that you don't have to quite babysit them, hopefully, but there will be interactions needed. And so you can't just go be off on your own all day making sales. Ideally, you could do as much as you can, but door-to-door sales has a cap. You can only knock on so many doors in a day. You can only have so many conversations with yeses and with nos before you're completely spent with your time as a resource. So what you need to do is build into that different levers that will guarantee some type of a lead or some type of an income. And so that whether it's direct mail or door-to-door sales or flyers or door hangers being handed out or Facebook or Google ads, you need to find at least a couple of levers that you can pull where you know, if I spend $1,000 on Facebook, that equals, let's just say, 20 customers. Now, this varies from market to market, from business to business. Different people are better and more creative at creating ads and are able to be more effective and get that either the cost per click to be lower and have each customer cost cheaper. Maybe you're gonna do postcards and you can figure out that $5,000 in postcards equals 10,000 in work. I'm just spouting numbers off the top of my head, but I think you get the picture here too. You need to master marketing, you gotta master sales, you gotta get people coming in, answer the phone, how you doing, master your script so that you can get them to book or hire somebody who does it really well. Either way, you need to work on yourself in all those things. And then while you're doing that, the next step is to learn leadership. Leadership is not just telling people what to do, being a boss, but going ahead of them and being an example to them, setting the tone for the culture, showing them what hard work looks like, and most of all, showing them that you care. There's a quote I love that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that plays very heavily into business. If you can develop yourself to be a top tier leader, you're going to be able to have a sticky team of core players, members of your battle squad that will go to war with you, who, if you need them an extra hour or two on a weeknight, that they'll go to town. They will take care of you. They'll make sure the job gets done and that it gets done right. So back to our little pyramid here. You got you, the boss man. We've got your +1 and then your other lead technician with his +1. Eventually, that +1 can get hired. These two can split into their own teams. Now you have 3 teams. You continue to grow. Maybe you're able to accelerate this a little bit more. When you get one of those levers for marketing dialed in, you can scale it. That's why you need those levers. You say, okay, we did 10,000 postcards and get X amount back. Now you know if we do 20 postcards, you're going to be able to get double the X result back. And so when you have that lever that you can pull, you can calculate exactly how much work you're able to do and how much work you need in order to hit your goals. And again, $250K per truck. And so I think you might have guessed by now where I'm going. Hire another tech with his lead. Each one of these is $250K potential. Some could get more, some could get less. You can work to make them more efficient, but there's a problem here. As I've said in other videos, life is not linear. It's never gonna be that easy. You're going to have so-and-so quit. This guy gets sick. He can't come to work for a week. This other guy, lead technician, he can't come because he breaks his leg riding skateboards over the weekend. Things are going to happen. You can't avoid it. You have to have systems really entrenched in their place to where you can find people and hire people. And so there's another quote for you, always be recruiting. I don't know who said it first, but it's in the home service business. And you always gotta be recruiting. You recruit, the best people to recruit are the peers of the people who you already have working for you that do a good job. You can always send out messages to people in your network, whether it's people from your church or local like schools. You can make connections with a counselor at a high school that knows people who are graduating and have potential. Maybe they're not going to be great in college, or they don't want to do that. They want to go into the trades and they want to learn and understand the business better and have potential. Well, this is a great business to learn the systems. You know, the whole setup of how you run a service-based business is very similar, whether it's for window cleaning, pressure washing, lands, even if you get into IT things or something more like marketing. Anytime you're doing a service, you're providing hours and time and skill, expertise for a particular service in return for a payment. And the management is the same across the board. I have a brother-in-law who has an ad consulting agency, and so much of the information that I know from running my own business in the past is actually correlated into his business. And so we've had great conversations on different ways, whether it's with the culture of your business, how your employees are getting along together, or what to do to motivate them, or how to make sure that you're doing good customer service with your clients and make sure that that kind of gets embedded in the culture that you have. All these things. So if you want to start a marketing company someday, window cleaning is a great way to get there. You start doing really good marketing for your own window cleaning business, you can easily get to the point where you're investing 5 hours of work per week and getting back anywhere from 200 to 250K for that year. Now you can make it slimmer and reinvest in the business more, or you can take as much off the top as you like, as long as you're not going to destroy your business in the process. But either way, there's a lot of flexibility you have. But back to what I was saying. Eventually, these guys are going to fizzle out. You've got to have the systems in place to hire them. But what I like to do is you have a couple of rovers. Now, these rovers would be tied loosely to a particular crew. Maybe for 4 crews, you have 2 or 3 other guys. So you have 2 crews of 3 and 2 crews of 2. And those rovers fill in if somebody's sick. Joe over here gets sick. He's out for a month. Okay, well, we have the +1 here. So these 2, they're going to have a little bit leaner schedule. They're going to have to work a little bit harder, but we've got the jobs covered if it's in peak season. If it's getting into a slower season, well, you don't have to worry about the atrophy as much, because you're going to be smoothing out with the seasonality anyways, and maybe you would have had to let somebody go, and so somebody bowing out actually helps you a little bit. You got to just make sure that you're hiring full force at the beginning of your peak seasons, whether it's right before spring or right before the fall. You can make sure that you stock up on your people at that point. And over time, based on your leadership style and your ability to attract people and motivate them, you're going to kind of get an adjustment to, you're going to have a stride that you'll be able to know how many people typically you need to hire new and how many people are going to be just seasonal part-time. And one thing you can do, I actually learned this from Costco. Costco was, when I was college age, was like a place that everybody wanted to work because they had great benefits and a lot of things they could do for you. You get paid well and there's room for upward mobility for a career. Do that for your business. But what they would do is they would only hire in the seasonal rushes or right before them. So the biggest time that they would do the biggest hiring would be right before the holiday seasons. So August, they'd be interviewing to get people on board to be trained in September. That way, October, November, December, these guys are going full force. And everybody knows they're only getting hired for a couple of months, 2-3 months at most. And that after that time's up, they're going to go ahead and look for something else. They were okay with that. They understand that. They're just happy to have a job. And then there's the potential that it could grow into something bigger. And what Costco would do is, out of those people who were hired on temporarily, that was the only way to get hired on full time. So people who would come in on the peak season who did a really good job, they were motivated to work that much harder. And then when the things slowed down, they still needed somebody to stay and keep pulling in the grocery carts and stocking the shelves and taking care of the groceries in the aisles. And so because they still needed somebody, they didn't want to lay everybody off, but they would hire the top 1 or 2. So you can do the same type of thing like this. You want to hold on to your best employees as much as you can, as long as you can, especially if you're getting into the winter season or the kind of doldrums of summer. You keep the best people closest to you and make sure they're guaranteed. If you have to let everybody go because you're in a place with heavy winters, maybe you take off January and February, then you can let them go and give them an incentive to come back and say, hey, when you first hire them in the spring, say, hey, we don't really work winters around here, but other guys go and they get a snowboarding pass and they're on the mountains. We can withhold a little bit of money from your paycheck so that you get a same paycheck coming the rest of the time. So you save up 10% of your paycheck for 10 months of the year, and then you can take an extra little bit for January and February when we're not working. However you want to do it, there's ways around it. But you've got to get that kind of core people that are sticky to you. That way you don't have to go chasing wheels that fell off the trailer that you're pulling, or dealing with strays of people who are just not showing up. The better you can commit to your own employees, the better they'll be able to commit to you. So when you're getting to this point, you're going to need, this is about 11 employees and you're doing $1 million in revenue. And typically that's kind of the goal. Every employee, you want to be getting about 6 figures, 100K rather, for each employee. And you want to do what you can to increase that as you go, if it's possible, especially with add-ons. That's why with every add-on that you do, particularly if you're starting with window cleaning, you want to make sure that each add-on you do is going to be higher revenue per hour than window cleaning would be. Or at least if it's not more, then it's going to fill in the slow seasons when you can't get the window cleaning hours added up. So maybe you add snow plowing, or maybe you add Christmas lights, or maybe you add gutter cleaning just for in the winter months. Something to keep your guys busy so that you don't have to lay off as many people. That reduces the strain. So that's the only place where I would compromise on the hourly rate. But things like Christmas lights and gutter cleaning, you're always going to get paid more anyways. So with all that said, you're growing. When you get to the 4 or 5 trucks, there's ways that you can manage that without having an operations manager. But your head's going to be spinning right here unless you have really good dialed-in systems. I have right now systems set in place so that when I grow to that point, I won't have to hire somebody. My job will be, one, maintaining the marketing, and number two, keeping these guys organized. Having a team meeting once a week with breakfast or afternoon barbecue, and then keeping them motivated and excited, helping them know what's next, making sure they understand the policies and what we're doing, what our focus is in that season, maybe helping them to understand how to upsell so they can get a bonus and make a little bit extra cash during that season. All these things come into play, and I'm really hands-on. I like to go one-on-one with guys and get to know them and kind of dive in deep with them, help them get to their next level. I understand most of these guys are only going to stay with me for a year, 2 years, maybe even only a season, but sometimes they'll last a little longer. I never had a lot of people quit on me. I've always just tried to be there for them, and they build a loyalty because I really do care about them, and I think it comes off as something that's almost tangible, something that they can understand and see and feel. And so with that, you're going to be at $1 million here, 10, 11 employees. You either need to hire an office staff to take care of inbound calls, or director of operations, or whatever you want to call them. And he's just making sure these guys are all taken care of. They have, both shoes when they show up and a hat to match, uniforms and looking nice. Their equipment is being well maintained and their trucks aren't a mess. You maybe need to hire one of these little guys who's the rovers. You might have one of them stay in the warehouse or storage unit just to go maintain things a couple days a week. Maybe do some little TLC here and there, keep maintaining the equipment, change oil on pressure washing machines, whatever it is. If somebody has a mechanical aptitude, you go ahead and give them something to do that they enjoy. So as these things are growing, you can get by with just a slim 4 to 5 teams, I'd say 10 employees, with at least 1 or 2 of them being strong leaders, and the other ones at least being proficient with the skill that they're doing and able to manage one other person. So that is my overall map to $1 million. If you have other questions about this, I'd love to talk more about it. It's hard for me to sit down and just be able to just play with these kinds of thoughts and have fun with it. Business is a fun thing. It's like you have those strategy games like Settlers of Catan, or when I was growing up, there was Age of Empires, one of the strategy games on a computer, and you are building your little empire. And so this is kind of what that is. Once you have this unit, you're just splitting teams. You're building teams. You have almost like, I like to call it like a cog, a little huddle of team players. And so each truck is able to go and be kind of self-sufficient. The more self-sufficient these guys are, maybe they're able to be independent contractors in a way. However that looks on the paper doesn't really matter, but I'm just saying they're independent thinkers. They're able to problem solve, and you don't have to babysit them. Well, you're able to give them a little bit bigger cut of the revenue, and they're going to be happy because they're working and getting paid by the amount of work that they do, rather than just the discretion of some stranger. So they can be very motivated in this situation if you take care of them right. And once you have, this is going to be 6 figures. These guys might make between 60 and 80K each per year. And then the smaller guys might make something like $20 an hour, or maybe $30 an hour peaking out. By the time they're getting $30 an hour, they ought to be able to lead a crew. So they shouldn't cost you too much money. These guys are making you money, so you take really good care of them. But as this grows, you're able to make a healthy 20% margin without much issue. That's $200K of profit that goes into your personal pocket. And that doesn't even account for, that's with the marketing and everything else being covered. So you can do in 10 hours per week, bringing in $200K. And when you get to that point, you have a lot of options in the world. You can just keep doing what you're doing, spend time with family, do more things to help volunteer at your church, local nonprofit stuff, whatever you want to do. Or you can grow this and double out even more. These become their own cogs. And so then you have different branches. Maybe these branch out. One of the little hacks that I've learned in North Texas, there's a lot of home service businesses out here. It's a booming market. Even in a tough economy, it's a great place to be. And what they've said is, if you have, let's erase this. You have a geographic region like North Texas, the DFW Metroplex in particular. You have these kind of 2 focal points. This is Fort Worth, and this is Dallas. And I'm up here, there's different suburbs all over, and they kind of form a big web, a big circle around it. There's Frisco's right over here. But I think you get the idea. There's all these different things. Now, it's kind of the hood over in Dallas, right? But then right around it, there's also very high-end, like Highland Park, lots of mansions around there, lots of work. I only really work currently in a small little region. A market can support $20 million company could easily thrive here. There's enough work to go around where there could be multiple companies that size. I could probably just in my little bubble get to be a few $1 million company. As far as, maybe I don't want to get there myself, but maybe I do. And if I want to, it's possible because there's so many people. Now, what you do is you hire people out here because it's cheaper side of the suburbs. The further away you get from the main hub of the Metroplex, the cheaper the living becomes. So somebody making $30 an hour right here is going to struggle. But somebody who's out a little bit further, a little outside of that main Metroplex, and most cities, towns have something similar. You bring people in from a little further out and they're just going to service right here. You bring people up from here and you service right here. So each one of these little regions has the potential to have its own cog. And so when you have somebody who's doing a really good job up here and they're like, hey, boss, I want to do more. I want to be able to own my own business, so I'm ready to quit. Well, now you can say, hey, you don't have to quit. I'll actually support you. We'll be partners and we'll start another cog over here. And you'll be able to start that branch. You'll get paid direct to the income that comes in. We'll give you your base salary, but as it grows, you get a percentage off of the total profit that comes into that business. And so you're really able to grow beyond where these people have some type of an ownership in it. Maybe they don't own the business. Maybe you want them to own the business. It's up to you. But they're incentivized to stay there and manage it. Remember, home services are very, very, very difficult to manage from afar. You need to be in the building with the people part of the time. Not consistently every day, but consistently every month at the very least. And where you're touching base on them, you're monitoring them, they're seeing your face, they remember that you're a real person, they're held accountable. And so having those tethers and you're getting together, you're checking on them, you have the potential that way to grow. Now, $1 million business. Let's get down to the dollars a little bit more. We've talked a lot about the logistics and what it takes for the framework and the people that you need on board, but we need to know exactly what it takes to get there. Maybe you're not in a busy metroplex like I am, and you're more in a rural place. You can still build $1 million business. 1,000 customers who pay $1,000 each. 1,000 customers at $1,000 each will get you. To get $1,000 in a customer, you can easily do gutter cleaning, window cleaning, and driveway cleaning. Right there. Average house in America, you can easily get $1,000. That means you can do that somewhere where it's more rural. And these are important things for people to do to take care of their property. You're going to help the investment that they've made on their home, arguably the most important investment of their life. You're helping them to maintain that and keep it from being run down. While it can be a luxury service, it's also something that people do need. So in a more crisis time, like say the economy's suffering or we're in a bit of a downfall, you can just pivot your services and focus on the things that are going to bring the best longevity to their property. So maybe rather than focusing on interior window cleaning, you say, we're going to focus on gutter cleaning because everybody needs that, because if you don't do that, your foundation is going to get messed up and then your house isn't going to be worth anything when the recession is over. So you're able to get different services to help restore what they have. Focus more on the restoration and the preservation. In an up economy when things are busy, then you focus on keeping up with the Joneses and doing extra going beyond. But with this, you can also do one customer 4 times in a year at $250. So you get a decent sized home and you do quarterly window cleaning for their exteriors. One customer, $1,000 right there. And maybe they're going to do the inside windows once every 6 months. Then you could even get more money out of them. So there's different ways to go about that. There's number 1, increase the average ticket. And that would be ideally 1,000 plus. Now number 2 would be increase the average frequency. These 2 things alone should be able to make the difference for you in your business. If you can get them doing more services more often, that'll change everything. Beyond that, you can work on systems to help incentivize referrals and play around with whatever you want to do to get that higher. $1,000 from 1,000 customers and you win. Now, if you're able to add certain services or frequency of service to increase the number of average ticket, then you need less customers. So you can easily, with 500 customers, do you have 500 people who live within an hour of you? I think so. $1,000 from 5,000 customers and you've got it. And you can easily service that with 4 crews. So even if you're trying to cut up a larger territory, you have the potential to do that because you just switch people into specific quadrants or regions where they're going to be close to the area where they're servicing, and you're able to grow with them. You focus on the marketing, you focus on making sure they have what they need, and you continue to grow. Now, if you wanted to dig deep with one service, that's fine too. I like to do that in a certain situation where if you have a large population, you can really just dial into just window cleaning, maybe add one service just to kind of keep things moving faster. But you just, the goal then is just simply get higher frequency, get people to repeat more often, get them to tell their friends, and you're able to have enough areas around you where even though your average ticket is low, your frequency goes up, and so you're still able to get 1,000 customers, $1,000 every year. And remember, each one of these customers, it may cost a bit of money to get them up front. Direct mail can be really expensive. Facebook ads can get kind of expensive. Whoever can pay the most to get a customer is the business that wins in the end. And so if you're being stingy and you're saying, hey, I don't want a 2-to-1 ROI. If I spend $1,000 and get 2,000 back, I'm not doing it. Well, we have our reasons why we would say that, and that's fine, but there's going to be a business with venture funding capital, and they're going to have the extra cash, and they're going to say, we don't care how much it takes. We'll pay twice as much as they're going to pay us, because the average lifetime value of each customer, if you're getting $1,000 in a year, then that means in 5 years, there's $5,000. So would you pay $200 to get $5,000? I think so. Would you pay $200 to get $250? Probably not. Doesn't sound good. You're not even getting a 2-to-1 ROI. But that one customer who gets their windows cleaned one time for $250 can easily become $5,000. So when you're going about your marketing, you have to have some patience. You have to understand the long game, that sometimes your campaigns are not going to be as fruitful as you like, but the fruit is coming. Sometimes trees take a little bit longer to grow. So just be patient and tend to your garden. Keep earning the 250s, turn it into thousands, and eventually you'll get to your millions. Okay, you made it to the end of the video. I truly appreciate you watching this far. It means the world to me. It keeps me motivated to keep posting more videos like this. So if you ever have any questions or comments, please drop them below. And also, if you ever want to support my channel even more, use any of my affiliate links to purchase window cleaning or pressure washing supplies, or use my link for Jobber to sign up if you don't already have a CRM. I'll see you guys in the next video, and thanks again for watching.